to be a really good deck.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
So, yeah, I know that I got to keep it mixed up a little bit. And if I give you nothing but combo mirrors, people will start to complain about that. I wouldn't know why, because combo mirrors are sweet.
They are. They are definitely very sweet. Cool stuff happens. People die really, really quickly. But we're going to watch two players grind each other out here. Weller Gordon versus Pynch. Weller Gordon going to start here with a Volcanic Island.
Weller Gordon, a Portland native, kind of a local hero.
He does well in the PTQs here. I know he's won a couple.
This was a name that was recommended to me specifically by Riki Hayashi yesterday.
Okay. Very cool.
Portland native now himself, and so he was like, wanted to make sure that I knew who the locals were to watch, and this was a name that he endorsed very highly.
When I used to play in PTQs around here for the first, I guess the first like year and a half that I moved here, yeah, he was someone that you definitely see making deep runs every time, making the top 8 as well. So not too surprised to see him sitting here at 5-1. I think he made a deep run in the Standard Open yesterday too.
He did. Top 32, I believe.
Yeah. So waiting patiently here is Brian, of course. We're going to have some fetch lands here. Just going to get a basic swamp, and now here's a discard spell. It's an Inquisition of Kozilek. Weller Gordon going to show Hand of Vendilion Click, a Daze, along with a Misty Rainforest, a Force of Will, and a land there at the very top.
So, plenty of Inquisitionable targets. Actually, all pretty juicy ones, excepting the Daze, I would suppose. But so yeah, that just leaves the Vendilion Click.
Yeah, let's take. I mean, I think that's what he's gonna take. The top card's a Lightning Bolt, excuse me, not a land. I suppose he could take Bolt if he does have like a Stoneforge Mystic he wants to protect, but then that could get dazed. So, a real decision here to make here if you're Joe.
Yeah,
he's gonna go.
He is actually
click.
thinking about it quite a bit. So it is possible to just land light.
Oh.
To me, that sort of looked like, well, yeah, there's a Vendilion Click, get that out of there. But
Weller Gordon does draw a Delver of Secrets for the turn, plays the Misty Rainforest before passing the turn back. That Misty, I imagine, is reserved for a Tundra, but we will see as we move forward here. Pynch going to take a draw. It's a copy of Swords of Plowshares.
okay, so removal at the ready for that Delver of Secrets.
You see Joe slow himself down a little bit there. He was going to cast a Thoughtseize into a Daze, but very quickly stopped that, played a Tundra so he could pay for Daze, and you will see the Daze, the Force Will, and the Lightning Bolt that he does already know about. This is pretty classic Esper Stoneblade.
Yeah, well, it's pretty classic blue at red Delver as well.
Yeah.
Just, this is my one threat. These are all of my forms of disruption. Jump through all of these hurdles if you would like to kill my threat. And Joe does just that. So it gets the Daze out of the way. That, of course, removes the extra blue card in Brian's hand, so he can't use Force of Will. So no way to protect his Delver.
Gataxian Probe, Weller Gordon wants to see, hey, what do you have? And you have a lot of really good cards. Liliana the Veil, Snapcaster Mage, an Island, and an Engineered Explosives.
Notably, that is Island, Swamp, Tundra, which those are 3 lands that do not cast Liliana of the Veil.
That's a frown, for now.
Yeah, you do get one every turn. You draw a fresh card. Occasionally, you draw a black source.
Best part of Magic.
Yes.
Guess what he drew?
Oh, hey, look at that.
A black source of mana. Every time I watch Esper Stoneblade play, I just want to play with it.
I mean, it is a pile of powerful cards. Now, there are a lot of Legacy decks that kind of fit that description, I think. But
it's just a rock deck with Brainstorm. I just want to play with it so bad. Snapcaster Mage is going to flash back either a Thought Seize, not a Thought Cast, a Thought Seize, or an Inquisition of Kozilek.
A little pricey to Snapcast.
A touch. Wouldn't even say it's good value. Thought Seize is going to take care of for us. Well, Weller Gordon is just left here with a Volcanic Island.
No lands, no threats, no interaction of any kind. This game is not particularly going well for Brian Weller.
This is the exact way that Pynch wants the game to go in this matchup. Grind you out of your resources pretty quickly, take over with something. It can be a Stoneblade, Mystic, with an equipment. It can be, of course, a Liliana. Doesn't really matter too much what it is.
No. Now, these Delver decks, of course, they want to stick a threat first and foremost, and then they want to protect it and mess with the opponent's mana base and do those kind of unfun things that they do. So step 1 has not actually been realized here for Brian. He has played 2 Delvers. They have both been sent on their way. One sent to the farm, the other sent to wherever Liliana sends creatures.
I don't want to know. This is going to be a ponder here from Pynch. We'll take a look at a couple of cards here. Set up the top of his deck if he'd like. Maybe take one of those cards. Prepare to discard with Liliana as well.
Yeah, this game is kind of playing out in the miracles mode. Yeah, both players just run out of things to do, and then the deck that is set up better to play off the top wins.
Yep.
Now, this, of course, is not a Sensei's Divining top deck. We're not going to be Miracle any Terminuses, but when both players are at a stalemate like this, it tends to favor the one with the Liliana in play.
I'm inclined to believe that's the case. Here's a Brainstorm. So 3 cards coming. There's a Stoneforge Mystic.
Those
Looks
are
like 2 of them. I think it's a Jace, too.
Some quite good Magic the Gathering cards.
It looks like we're going to put an Engineer Explosives back. I wouldn't want to discard any of these. There's a Stoneforge Mystic. That'll allow for the shuffle. It's very realistic that we don't see Liliana tip up this turn.
Right. Yeah, and it's actually kind of tough to play Stoneforge Mystic here because you might want that second one. That is a forced shuffle. So, yeah, those are good cards at hand and actually good cards left on top that have just been sent away.
And Liliana is just going to stay at 1. That's not really all that surprising. You see Weller Gordon's hand. He has a Forcible and a Mystery card. Just going to pass the turn back.
So if that Mystery card is blue, then he can kind of make a stand here and put a stop to any Jace the Mind Sculptor shenanigans. Although it's possible that Joe doesn't even want to play that game.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he does. I mean, surprised, I guess, is strong because it is Jace. But he's going to actually attempt to play. He's going to Spell Pierce as the other card.
Spell Pierce,
yeah.
So that force is still hanging around.
See the other card there is a Deathrite Shaman. So, see if there's a Tropical Island. Yeah, there is. This is pretty classic Esper Deathblade.
So that Deathrite Shaman was the card that came off of the top of that turn, I believe. And so that kind of pushes him towards playing the Jace there, because it lets you use your mana most efficiently. Usually, when you have 5 lands in play 4-drop plus 1-drop, rather than leaving up Batterskull and more or less losing your turn there.
And this is the deck that Brad Nelson played at the Season 2 Invitational when he made top 8 before being dispatched by Tom the Boss Ross. And I know that when he was testing this deck, he had messaged me on Facebook, and he was just like, hey, do you think Esper Deathblade's good? You watch coverage all the time. And I'm just like, yeah. Yeah, I think
it's not a secret, yeah.
I think it's good. He's like, but it looks so bad on paper. And I'm like, is that true? All the cards are busted. And he's like, well, it plays weird. And I'm like, yeah. He's like, I am also, like 22-3 with it online, but everyone says it's bad.
Sure,
just like,
sure.
Brad, just shut up and play the deck.
It was me. It was the whole time.
Yeah.
No, when he says everyone says it's bad, it was just me over and over, just whispering into his ear, don't do it.
Yeah, Brad, just be quiet and play the deck. Why are you even asking for my advice?
Yeah. Yes, this deck, one of the best decks in the format, and you can kind of see why just by looking at the board. All the board just got swept up. Had Liliana of the Veil, Stoneforge Mystic, Deathrite Shaman. This is just kind of a wanted list of the burliest threats in the format.
Yeah, you lose the game. That's why the deck is. I mean, honestly, when I think of Esper Deathblade, Esper Stoneblade, whatever, I look at it as a rock deck that happens to have Brainstorm and Jace. That's just what it feels like when it plays. And yeah, I've played the Rock a lot over the course of my life, which I'm a little embarrassed to admit.
Yeah, it's okay. There are support groups for that.
Yeah, and if the Rock had Brainstorm and Jace, it probably would have been the best deck a lot of the time. And that's what it feels like here. Joe Pynch does win game 1.
Yeah, the traditional criticism, of course, of the Rock deck or mid-range decks in general is that you kind of have 2 competing sides of the deck. You have the threats side, the creature removal side, the discard and interaction on the stack side, and you have no way to control which side you draw in any given deck, any given game, and you have no idea which side you want as your Brainstorm. When you have enough of a density like that, is basically just a tutor. If you have say 10 removal spells, then Brainstorm will find you one when you need it. If you have 20-some threats in your deck, Brainstorm will find you one when you need it. So yeah, I guess when you put it that way, the Rock, but with Brainstorm, is probably just the best deck Magic's ever seen.
At times. I mean, it certainly feels that way when you watch this deck play. I mean, it feels like a lot of the time it just is doing something that's insurmountable. It's like, how do I come back from just Stoneforge and Deathrite and Jace and Brainstorm, and you've thought seized me twice, once with Snapcaster Mage. If you exhausted all of my resources and your draws are better than mine because the power level of your cards are higher than mine individually. But
the answer of how you beat that, oh, hey, hi, Mom. Hi, Joe Pynch's mom.
Yep.
The answer of how you beat that is you do something super broken and murder them.
Yes.
This is why I'm a strong proponent of combo decks in this format.
Yeah, you are probably right to do so. Hey, a lot of people in this room are too, so there is that. We'll take a look at Brian Weller Gordon's sideboard to begin thing as he's sideboarding relatively quickly, and you've got that in front of you.
Brian Weller Gordon is going to have access to 1 Flusterstorm, 1 True Name Nemesis, 1 Wear and Tear, 1 Sword of Feast and Famine, a lot of 1-ofs, 1 Fork Bolt, 1 Aether Sworn Canonist, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, and then 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Meddling Mage, 2 Swords to Plowshares, and 2 Pyroblast. That's a lot of combo hate. And I'm not sure that there's anything super significant here. I think he wants to go for that extra True Name Nemesis. I would guess that he is going to bring in Wear and Tear against the Stoneforge Mystic deck. And I'm not actually sure we want anything else. There's a possibility that he tweaks his removal suite a little. He has access to additional Swords to Plowshares, a Forked Bolt, some Pyroblasts. Those, of course, are not dead cards. They're not exceptional, but I'm guessing that he just makes marginal changes, if any.
Other side of things here, I got a lot of 1s and 2s as well. Sword of Feast and Famine, a Supreme Verdict, a Force of Will, a Duress, an Inquisition of Kozilek, a Blue Elemental Blast, 2 Spell Pierce, 2 Engineered Plague, 2 Cabal Therapy, along with an additional Liliana, a True Name Nemesis, and, you guessed it, a Manriki Gusari.
I hate that guy.
I do like that. True Name Nemesis is coming in, of course. It's a fair matchup. Joe already has 2 in his main deck, so he'll bring in the third one. I don't think we're going to see Cabal Therapy, but if there's a therapy, I'm looking for Lingering Souls, and I actually don't see any, so just using it actually just as a efficient discard spell. Engineered Plate could actually come in on Pynch's side to take care of True Nemesis, but he has some of his own, so I don't think he's going to take that route. Also has answers in Liliana the Veil. I imagine he'll board in the second one, as Blue-White Red typically just plays their threats in such a way that it's basically 1 threat at a time.
Sure.
So I think Liliana is actually pretty good in that world. Inquisition, potentially, I mean, more discard. Most of the spells, I don't want to say all, because there's Force of Will, typically cost 3 or less in that particular deck. Don't really need the Sword of Feast and Famine. Could see boarding in Supreme Verdict to have an answer to True Name Nemesis in case it slips through the cracks. I imagine the Force of Wills, and there are 3 in the main deck, will be coming out in this matchup.
Yep, I would guess that both sides will lose their Force of Wills, actually.
So both players with a lot of 1s and 2s to sideboard in here. We are in a relatively fair matchup, so they can board in their cards that are good against fair decks, even though the cards are not fair at all, and get to work.
Yeah, it's interesting to kind of compare these 2 sideboards, because the one thing they have in common is there are a lot of cards in both of these sideboards that don't traditionally feel like sideboard cards, to me at least. Something like Swords to Plowshares. That's very much a main deckable card.
Yeah.
We have a Forked Bolt, a True Name Nemesis. Now, granted, True Name Nemesis is a little bit slow, particularly in a combo-heavy field like this one. Then, of course, on the other side, in Joe Pynch's sideboard, you've got a Supreme Verdict, a Force of Will, a Duress. These
Inquisition.
An Inquisition,
yeah.
Sure. So it's interesting to see that the fair decks in this field are kind of using their sideboard to tweak rather than to bring in some home runs.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a sideboard like this of 1s and 2s as well, you don't just wake up with a sideboard like this. I imagine there's been a lot of thought and, what you want to move in and what you want to move out when, you want to bring in the Duress and you want to bring in the Inquisition. Imagine that you board out a Thoughtseize from the Inquisition because you don't want to take 2 damage in a particular matchup. Everything's low to the ground, like this one, where I think that Inquisition is probably better than Thoughtseize in this matchup because you're just basically have the same selection of cards, but with Thoughtseize you're taking 2.
Yeah, are there even cards in Brian's deck that can be Thoughtseized but not Inquisitioned? There's Force of Will.
And Batterskull.
Okay, Batterskull.
That's it.
Yeah, Batterskull is a real one.
Yes.
That is, Thoughtseize is one of the most common answers, kind of quote unquote, to Stoneforge Mystic. So that's a legitimate concern. That may be reason on its own to leave in some of the Thoughtseizes.
You see Weller Gordon start here with a Delver's Secrets off of Volcanic Island. Pynch is going to sacrifice the Flooded Strand, go get a Plains.
We saw him in game 1 fetch up a basic Swamp on turn 1. Now going to fetch up a basic Plains. So Joe, very concerned about his mana base. Wants to make sure that it is robust through disruption, which Brian certainly has.
Gonna fire Swords right away. Could have ran that into a Daze, but wants to make sure that he does get that Delver off the table. That does work. Gordon gonna draw a card. It's a Misty Rainforest. Might be time to search for a Tundra, and I think I did catch a glimpse of a Stoneforge Mystic over there, so pretty good start here for Weller Gordon.
Yeah, I believe I saw that as well. So this is kind of the blue-red game plan. Turn 1 threat. Oh, it's dead. Turn 2 threat. And there is the Batterskull. Does Joe Pynch have a Thoughtseize?
Make a draw. Looks like a copy of Deathrite Shaman was the draw.
It looks like a Stoneforge Mystic of his own, so we may see dueling Batterskulls. That one's always fun.
Huh. Looks like that's what we're in line for. Pynch is going to cast this. We'll see if it does resolve.
Actually, Joe had a Manriki Gusari, right?
In the sideboard. I guess there's a real chance that he brought it in.
That's blue-white-red Delver. That's a Stoneforge deck.
Yeah.
If you're going to put Manriki Gusari in your sideboard and then not bring it in when your opponent has Stoneforge Mystic, just get it right out. It doesn't belong. He just, I guess, does not get it.
Look, here's the thing, Joe. We could watch anyone search for a Batterskull. And you know what? Most weekends we do. But if you want to make a name for yourself in the Open Series, you search for that Manrique Gusari.
Joe, this is not what we were promised.
Yeah. There's a lightning bolt. Get that thing out of here.
Okay, maybe it's already in his hand.
I hadn't considered that.
Yeah.
If that's the case,
we take it all back.
I may apologize, but I can't promise it.
Yeah. Hi, Joe Pynch's mom.
Pynch does draw a card for the turn. You see the polluted delta that's going to come into play. I think he's going to sacrifice that right away. He will. He's going to go down to 18.
Fetches up a black source, no doubt, for that Deathrite Shaman. One of the awkward things about Deathrite Shaman is that you really only have room for one green source, and often that green source, the other color on that green source is not the color you want.
Yeah, it's Tropical Island most of the time.
Yeah. So, like here, if Joe could just get a Bayou instead, that'd be convenient. Now, having said that, there is actually a Wasteland sitting on the other side of the table. So in this case, even if he wanted to do that, I probably wouldn't.
I mean, there's a chance that, like, if he did have a Bayou, he could get a Bayou to induce the Wasteland.
Sure.
Because, I mean, you are playing a Deathrite Shaman after all, so you're certainly doing okay. Batterskull's going to come into play here. Germ token incoming.
I think when you mentioned Brad Nelson kept saying this deck looks so bad on paper. I think what he meant was this deck's mana base looks so bad on paper.
It's not the prettiest thing in the world.
No. The first versions of Esper Deathblade did not have room for basics. Now Joe has found room for several basics. It looks like.
I'm glad because basics are very good in Legacy.
They are. Having said that, multiple basics are good in Legacy.
Yeah.
Often, actually, you see a lot of people. They're like, well, this mana base is kind of shaky. It's going to be exposed to Wasteland. I'll put an island in there. I'll fetch up my basic when I need it. That doesn't work out the way you want to most of the time.
Another Stoneforge Mystic here from Weather Gordon. He's going to go searching right away. There's a Sword of Feast and Famine.
Okay. This was out of his sideboard. This is not one that I expected to see come in.
I'm a little bit surprised. Pro Black is mediocre in this matchup. Pro Black actually doesn't come up very much at all in Legacy, it seems.
Well, it has its moments against Deathrite Shaman and Dark Confidant decks. It's particularly good to put on a Tarmogoyf in Tarmogoyf mirrors.
Sure.
Now, we're far from that here. I don't think that either the Pro Black or the Pro Green is going to end up being relevant in this matchup. If he puts it on the Stoneforge Mystic, it can attack past Deathrite Shaman. And the Germ, actually. So that actually makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree.
It's no Enrique Gusari, I'll tell you that much.
Well, what is? See, thoughts to take the Brainstorm there. Sort of Feast and Famine put into play off a Stoneforge Mystic. And now Lynch is going to go sacrifice Flood Strand, go down to 11. He knows everything that Weather Gordon has access to. All the creatures and equipment are in play. And the fetch land in hand.
I really, really, really want to see this Manrique get active. Maybe he didn't even bring it in.
If you didn't bring it in, I'm going to be full of disappointment. I've got a feeling, by the way, that there's a Trinity Nemesis about to come to the party. Just a hunch.
Okay. Well, that will solve any and all problems on board.
All right, I might be wrong.
No? Okay.
Jace, maybe? Oh, jeez. Supreme Verdict. All right.
That was a one-of.
That's a one-of in the board. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Quite powerful.
It's a good reset tool there.
Supreme Verdict is kind of unreliable against a Wasteland deck. That's a spooky card to play, particularly in this matchup, although it is very good here when you get to cast it.
Yeah. Weather Gordon's draw for the turn was Brainstorm, and he thought about casting it for a moment, and because he has a fetch land as well, he can make it a perfect Brainstorm. However, it looks like he's much more interested in just resetting Batterskull because of the 5th land to do so.
A perfect Brainstorm? Is that the new Lingities?
Yeah, that's what I like to say. Did you just say Lingities?
Lingities.
What does that mean?
I think you know.
Okay. Swords, Plowshares, Deathrite Shaman, and now there's a True Name Nemesis.
Okay, and True Name Nemesis is going to solve this Batterskull problem just like it did last turn, or threatened to last turn.
Yeah. Just every card in the deck is just so busted. I feel like I say this so many times when I watch this deck too, because I don't really get to play Legacy anymore. And so whenever, I always think about, oh, well, if I did get to play Legacy Tournament, 6 months from now, which I think is the next one I get to play, it's like, man, I kind of like the idea of playing Esper Deathblade because every card is just way too good.
Man. See, the first part of that statement, that mirrors my experience completely. I'm like, when am I ever going to play this format again?
Yeah.
But my reaction is to just kind of build up a backstock of ridiculous combo decks that I want to try out. So I'm just like, yeah, next year sometime when there's finally a Legacy Grand Prix.
Joe realizing he did not put 2 cards back with Brainstorm. Because if you don't do that, Brainstorm is way too good.
Restricted in Vintage.
Yeah.
Actually, Brainstorm's restricted in Vintage anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, you know why? Because it's way too good. There we go. Kind of want that fetch line. I imagine he's on a Trinity Nemesis plan this turn.
Yeah, I would think so.
He's just going to hold steady.
I guess likes the cards on top too much.
Potentially. All the cards in his hand, like the actual spells, are really, really good right now.
Sure. He just cast that Deathbright Shaman, right? So yeah, okay. I was like looking at it. Like, he has 3 mana. Why don't he just do the yeah?
Yeah, Deathbright came into play as did a Brainstorm. So yeah, he wants to draw whatever that card is.
So
yeah, it's time
this
for
is
True Name.
definitely True Name time.
They use the Plains to do it. And there is the 3-1.
I've played with True Name Nemesis exactly once. And
Yeah.
I learned a very exciting trick. Andy Boswell taught me this.
Okay.
When you cast True Name Nemesis, pick up the match slip and read your opponent's full name.
That's smart.
I love it.
I like that. 1, 2, and 3 cards drawn here for Weather Gordon off of Brainstorm. You gotta let him know where you stand.
Oh, Brainstorm? Yeah, cool story.
Yeah.
I got one of those too.
Tree Nemesis, I will name you Andrew K. Shrout.
K Shroud?
I'm guessing it's a K.
It's T. It's Tiberius.
Nope. I don't believe you.
Oh, yeah?
I don't.
I don't either, to be honest.
Yeah, I just don't believe you. I really wish it was Tiberius now, but I just don't believe you. It's Axiom Probe. And take a look there at Pynch's hand. You saw swords hanging out over there. Pretty good target in that Germ token, but doesn't need to fire away just yet, as Tree Nemesis has that thing taken care of.
Yeah, True Name Nemesis is going to hold the ground pretty effectively here, but Joe does need to actually start getting aggressive eventually. Having said that, that's a Deathbright Shaman that threatens, what, a 6-turn clock?
Yeah. It's quick.
Well,
it's a little more than 6, but in
well,
combination with something.
Sure. I was kind of estimating based on like the assumption that True Name Nemesis eventually starts attacking.
Of course,
but,
yeah.
But yeah, I guess Joe does have inevitability in that sense. Brian digging, looking for some way to punch through the True Name, some way to get rid of the True Name if he even has those cards in his deck.
It's a very unexciting Brainstorm. He ended up keeping a Stoneforge Mystic and a Source of Plowshares in hand.
Yeah.
He's going to play Stoneforge Mystic. I imagine he has him as his GT to go grab, because he's very quickly searching through his deck. I imagine there's still a third equipment in here, and there is the GT. This is part of the reason that I'm not the biggest fan of Sword and Feast and Famine, because yes, it does allow you to get through some cards like Tarmogoyf from the Batterskull token, but a lot of the time, like, the road that gets blocked is via Trinity Nemesis.
Sure.
And you need a way to get through that. Now, I'm not, advertising playing Sword of Body in Mind, even though that's probably better than I think we think it is in Legacy.
I've played that card in Legacy.
Yeah, it's probably better than we think it is, but I've been a big fan of Sword of Fire and Ice ever since Trinity Nemesis came out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wait for the design space where there's Sword of Protection from blue and black. Think about that.
Yeah, they never did. That's got to be a coming cycle, right?
Yeah, I think so. Sword of Water and
Death. I'm really bad at this.
No, I think we did really good, actually.
Okay.
Sword of Water and Death.
Sure. What are
+2,
the two?
+2.
Yeah.
Pro blue, pro black. When you deal damage,
Draw 3 cards and add black, black, black to your mana pool.
you are really not good at this. You're right.
All right, fine.
You're really not good. We had something really good going, and then you just destroyed it. So here's a Batterskull.
I mean, my first instinct was to staple like Time Twister and Yawgmoth's Will onto it. So
Yeah.
I toned it down a little.
You sure did.
So the dueling Batterskulls situation has come to light, but as we mentioned, the True Name Nemesis kind of makes that irrelevant here.
It's almost like Tree Nemesis is going to be equipped by Batterskull, and Joe Pynch is probably going to win the game because of it.
Yeah, that would be a powerful play.
Yeah.
That's a way to punch through with True Name Nemesis.
Yes, it is.
That is the way to punch through with True Name Nemesis.
I would say it took us a little too long to figure out how to break True Nemesis with Stoneforge Mystic and equipment. That's not actually true, because like Ty Thomason did that like on week 2 when we were in Dallas. He just played like a blue-white Stoneforge deck with a bunch of True Names and then swords and Stoneforges, and he's like, "Yep, I solved it pretty fast and won the tournament."
Yeah, well, I mean, it's True Name Nemesis plus like a Batterskull or even a Jitte is kind of the legacy equivalent of Naya Hexproof.
Yep.
It's just like, here's this guy you can't kill. Here are all of the pants I can put on it.
Yep. Swords of Plowshares is going to get hit by a Spell Pierce. Sword of Feast of the Famine and Jitte are on. Yeah, this is going to be a block here. I imagine we'll see True Nemesis get in front of here. Batterskulls will trade with each other, but Pynch is fine with that exchange because he's probably going to move the Batterskull into True Nemesis anyway, so he actually just gets a free block out of the deal.
Yeah, sure. I think this is actually, that attack favors Joe.
Yeah, I think he's actually really happy with that attack.
Yeah, just getting a germ off the board for free and at basically no cost because, as you said, he was going to lose his own germ on the next turn anyway.
There's Polluted Delta. I think Pynch is going to sacrifice this, go reaching for 5 mana, equip the True Nemesis, and play this song and dance. And trust me, we have seen it before. And it's still good. It's still really good.
The old 7/5 True Name Nemesis.
Sure, can't get through it. Gain 7 life. Go back up to 20.
How much would True Name Nemesis have cost if it were actually just printed as a 7/5?
4?
4? Just one more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Blue, 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 blue. That's how I solve everything, is like, I just print busted cards that are just hard to cast. It's like, yeah, sure, Armageddon, white, 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 print it.
Next thing you know, people are curving FASA into True Name Nemesis
Yeah,
and Legacy.
well, maybe that wasn't the best idea.
Yeah.
Never mind. Yeah.
Both of us need to work on this a little.
Yeah, actually, I'm just going to stay in the booth.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't want to be an R&D, and R&D doesn't want me.
R&D sounds hard.
Yeah, that's cool. In for 7 more we go. Deathrite will be able to chip away a little bit here as well.
Man, remember when Joe was at 10?
I do. A turn and a half ago?
Yeah.
I do. Another copy of Deathrite Shaman here for Pynch.
Yeah, things got
play
out
one
of
of these
hand
lands.
quick. And Brian literally does not have an answer to True Name Nemesis in his 75, as far as I can see.
No, this is, I mean, I've seen so many games. I've seen blue, white, red lose this combination so many times before. You know, it's just, they can't do anything about it. Batterskull's going to come back into play. This is like the hard lock against them.
Yeah. This style of deck, your game plan is for this never to happen.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you're pretty well equipped to make sure this never happens.
Yeah, I just don't like. I don't know if it's a solvable issue. I just don't like that the game plan is, I hope they don't get True Nemesis into play.
Sure.
Because then I have a really difficult time winning. Or, you know, if they assemble True Nemesis plus Batterskull, I have a difficult time winning because like a lot of Legacy decks are doing that and you can't prevent it from happening every time.
Sure. Yeah, I believe it was Ben Weinberg that explained Rug Delvers to me. This was a couple years ago. But he handed me Rug Delver and he said, here's how you play this deck. Don't let them do anything. If they do something, you're going to lose.
That's accurate.
Yeah.
That's accurate.
And Blue White Red Delver, very much a deck in the same vein. I think it's a little different because of Stoneforge Mystic. It gets some extra legs that way. But it's still very much an early game deck.
GTA is going to get moved on to the Delver. And you see Sword of Feast and Famine and get moved on to the Germ token. So 6/6 Germ token that has Vigilance, Lifelink, Pro Black, Pro Green. Stoneforge Mystic just sitting here as a boring 1/2. And, of course, the Jitte on the Delver Secrets. Now, what Weller Gordon is setting up here, I believe, as you see Deathrite Shaman's going to remove an instant or sorcery and put Weller Gordon down to 7, is he can't block with that Batterskull token. So he's going to Swords of Plowshares it, and he's giving it the most power and toughness he can to gain the most life from it. I think that's the big game plan here. He's going to sacrifice the Polluted Delta.
Okay.
Hopefully the Delver flips, and then we can put some Jitte counters on there and get to work.
Yep.
So I understand the game plan. I like it. Weller Gordon giving himself the best chance to win. Pynch is out of cards. You know, he has an Academy Ruins. That's it.
His cards are basically in play and killing his opponent.
Yeah, and normally this combination of cards is good enough, and I imagine that it's still probably good enough for Pynch, but
yeah. So
Gordon's fighting.
Let's assume that Delver flips here, and then does he gain Sword of Feast of Famine first? Because you can only do one here, right?
Yeah.
get a fresh untap and then move Batterskull on, or do you just have to put Batterskull on immediately to gain life, right?
On. Let's see what this is. That's a flip. It's a Daze.
Okay.
Daze could not be worse right now outside of the fact that it flips Delver. And so I think, yeah, you move Batterskull over here. This is an attack for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. You get counters too.
So you're going to gain 7 life from combat and then potentially 4 more from the Jitte. So we're looking at a potential gain of, was it 11? Or, yeah, he'll be at 16, I believe. Yep. Math's hard.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah, so Joe, in addition to his true name, does actually have these dual machine gun Deathrite Shamans. I'm not sure exactly how much gas is left in both players' graveyards. I would assume enough to take several shots here.
Well, Gordon's going to untap here. He can attack for, Pynch is going to untap. He found, wow. Look at this, all these equipments.
Did he even need it though? You know, Brian's at 8.
He can gain 4 up to 12, and the attack will be for 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 2 Deathrites is 11.
Oh, sure. We're 1 short. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, needed is strong.
Sure.
I will say that. Here comes True Name, wearing a Jitte and a Batterskull. So going to gain a bunch of life, going to get 2 charge counters of his own. And yeah, now he's going to force the action. Yeah, here's an activation. You can just do it again. I hope he didn't miss the charge counters on the Jitte. That would be awkward.
Are we still doing this in before damage or no?
No, I think he may have missed the charge counters on the Jitte.
Interesting. Doesn't need them.
One could argue.
They'd help, but
yes. I don't think that Pynch played his land either. May have forgotten about Sword of Feast and Famine and causing discard here.
Yeah, wow. So yeah, Joe had a huge lead and kind of making some missteps there. I think because of that. That's something that you see quite a lot of, I think.
I mean, things get a little loose. Like, he thinks there's no way he can lose, so he's not playing as optimally as he did on the first, 5 or 6 turns of the game to get himself in this position.
Yeah, well, and a lot of players, their mode is kind of, when they get to this stage of the game, they're like, okay, how can I possibly lose?
Yeah.
And frankly, forgetting to put your 2 Jitte counters on is not one of those ways, I don't think.
Yeah, just like you said, I don't think. But missing the Jitte counters is, not good.
No.
That's for sure. Wasteland, take care of the Underground Sea. That'll cut off some of the black mana. Weather Gordon, a little fidgety, but it'll pass the turn back. Deathrite Shaman's going to go active. Weather Gordon's going to go down to 8.
And we're right back where we started.
Yep.
Yeah, that Jitte, just 1 +2/+2 there would have done it.
Yeah, because he could attack this turn for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 if we count 2 Shaman activations, even though there's only 1 black mana. And Weller Gordon could go up to 14. Uh-oh.
Yeah, giving away your small edges there. And this it's still close, but we're kind of getting to the point where Brian starts to swing for more, starts to gain more life per turn than Joe deals. Although on board, Brian's still losing this race, but it's very, very slowly, I think.
Yeah. The hand here, Stoneforge Mystic in a Daze. And yeah, he's going to play the Academy Rune. So what that means is that he was holding a land previously that he discarded to the sword.
Okay. Does he have anything in the graveyard right now to get back with his Academy Runes? I believe he does not.
Not yet. His equipment are just in play. I'm not sure what Weller Gordon drew. I think it may have been a Tree Nemesis. I'm not positive. As in comes the Delver of Secrets yet again. Now, wow, now we're feeling strong enough to palm.
Plus just more life that way.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I guess it's a little risky, but I think you're sitting at 1 life against multiple Deathrite Shamans. You kind of have to take some risks.
So that's an attack for 13. Weller Gordon's just going to pass the turn back.
Okay. We can safely assume that was not a True Nemesis that came off the top.
Somebody needs a Manriku, sorry. Yeah. I said it.
To be fair, Batterskull's doing a lot of work
I
this
said
game.
it.
But no, I agree with you. This is not what we signed on for, Joe.
Somebody needs Manriku, sorry. Better draw one of those Stoneforges, Joe. Gonna put 2 Jitte counters on this.
God, I wish it had just come right off the top.
There's a drop.
right off the top, and then he plays it and just fails to find.
Yeah. That would be disappointing.
It would be.
If Stoneforge came off, there was no Manrique to search for. I would actually be visibly upset. I want to see it happen.
Man. So this game has become a slog.
Ooh, I like this. Some people are chiming in on the Sword of Blue and Black.
Okay, what do we have?
That you previously ruined, but thankfully for Twitter.
Yeah, I knew Twitter had my back. I was designed Twitter's development.
Okay. Sword of Knowledge and Death. Sword of Merc and Mire.
Merc and Mire's good.
Sword of Law and Time.
Law and Time that's not right.
I like Sword of Freeze and Void. Merc and Mire's taking it down right now. Yeah, Merc and Mire. Sure. Flash game bonus. Take it down, my friend.
Next question, Twitter. What are the 2 triggers? What happens when you connect with the Sword of Merc and Mire?
We have some.
Oh, nice.
Let's see what we got here. It's not that this game is boring. It's that both players just keep gaining a bunch and losing a bunch of life.
Yeah.
Something's going to break through, obviously, the stalemate at some point.
Yeah, both players are kind of locked into their plays at this point.
Yeah, which is attack, I'll gain a bunch of life. Oh, yeah? Attack, I'll gain a bunch of life and do you a bunch of damage. Cool, I'm not dead. That's basically what's happening right now.
We'll let you know once something changes.
I promise.
But nothing has yet.
But in the meantime, Sword of Time and Space is +2/+2, pro blue and black when it deals damage, duress, and disperse.
Okay. That's way too good.
The disperse part I think is way, yeah. All right, yeah, that's too good. All right, you're right. Draw a card and target creature gets -3/-3.
Yeah, okay.
Draw a card, but draw card's already been done with ice.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know if we can do it again.
Yeah, we can't do that.
Return target creature defending player controls to their hand, then defending player sacrifices a creature.
So, what's the split card, right? The fuse card?
Far and away.
We're far and away?
Yeah.
Okay, so fuse far and away every time you connect with it?
So sort of far and away. Broke it. Put me in R&D.
Yeah, that might even be a better name, too.
Put me in R&D. Looks like Lava Master's going to take down Deathrite Shaman. See if I think there's another one here. No, that's too good. Sword of Freeze and Void is Brainstorm plus sack a creature. Nope. That's too good. Let's be reasonable over there, Twitter.
Sure. I wouldn't want 2 abilities that affect the board, you know? Like, I would want, like, something that manipulates your deck and then something that does something on board.
Yeah, I can see that. This is a discard spell, not a timely one. This is an attack yet again. Pynch is going to do some activations here.
Yeah, confirms. I would love to see these players' life totals right now. Or not life totals, life pads,
yeah.
Yes. Like, how many columns are we on yet?
It's funny because I think that Pynch would have won this game if he didn't forget the initial GT trigger.
Yep, I agree.
And he got so excited to catch GT. You see Inquisition's probably going to take Pyroblasts because Daze is really not good right now. So
I don't know, man. You can't pitch Pyroblast to Force of Will.
That's true. That's true.
I want that to be relevant, but I really doubt it will be because I'm pretty sure there are no Force of Wills in Brian's deck.
Yeah, I agree. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the attack. Maybe pump. So let's make it 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah, and every turn the math that Brian has to do is basically how many of these JT counters
17
can I use for any end other than gaining extra life? Because he would love to get rid of that Deathrite Shaman.
Which he did.
Yeah.
And there's no black mana out there, I believe. Oh, there's an underground, so yeah, take it back.
So, gonna be able to fire off one more activation, drop Brian to 18, but Joe's dipping low, actually. 8 is, Joe's been in the 30s for parts of this game.
Ooh, that was close.
What'd I miss?
So, I mean, he, Deathrite Shaman, yeah. So, Weather Gordon was like, kill your Deathrite Shaman with my GT counters. And, there was, a pretty lengthy pause. I don't think Pynch understood. And he's like, no, I'm doing this. And he's like, okay, put it in his graveyard. And then was like, I'm going to activate it. And Weather Gordon's like, actually, you're not.
Put it into his graveyard tapped.
Yeah, actually, you're not. And there was no argument. Pynch is like, you're right. I acknowledged that too quickly.
Sure.
but that 2 damage could end up mattering too.
Yeah, this has been a game of uncomfortable inches for sure.
What a Pynch draw. Pynch has like the better draws, and he hasn't found anything. He's gonna attack yet again. He's got like Jace. He's got a Vindicate.
You know, Enrique Gusari.
Yeah, he's got Enrique Gusari. He can't find any of them. There goes Spell Pierce.
Liliana would be pretty good here.
Yeah, I mean, that Stoneforge Mystic is in the way. I don't even know if he has double black. He drew a spell. Here's a Brainstorm. All right. 2, 3. I mean, Jace isn't going to get him like, oh. That's an
Engineered Explosives is
a sword.
Pretty big one.
EE is great, right?
Yes. Yeah, you just play it for 0, blow the Delver, and then you don't have problems.
Okay. And there's an EE, and Ruins is out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Brian would love to fight over this,
I
but
think he finally solved the problem.
Yeah.
The EE is a 1-of, so I'm not. I mean, it's not like surprising it took him a long time to find that, but he had a lot of draw steps between all of this, you know, posturing and gaining life and dealing damage and GT counters that's taking place. I'm surprised he didn't find something sooner.
Brainstorm was functioning like a tutor, just as we said.
Yeah.
Brainstorm came along, and then it went and found the answer.
Yeah, blow this up. You have to stop this clowning around. And now we're back to square one, where True Nemesis is so much fun.
Yeah. It's interesting that the one creature in Brian's deck showed up that didn't care about True Nemesis and almost just wrecked the whole game.
Yeah, it almost just won the entire game, yeah. Which is ridiculous to even think about. Just the fact that that happens to have flying almost took the game down. Pynch is going to draw his card really quickly. He's going to attack here for 3-7 with potential attack for 11. I think it's just going to be 7. 2 more charge counters on the GT, presumably.
I'm leaning towards using those counters to getting Stoneforge Mystic off the board immediately.
I'm a fan of this idea. Going to activate this with that on the stack. Going to return Batter Skull, so there's good mechanics there. In comes your Germ Token. Gordon going to untap. See the hand, there's a Power Blast, there's a Daze, there are a couple of lands over there. This is a Ponder.
Power Blast and Daze pretty much blank in this situation.
About as blank as they can get, as Weller Gordon is going to shuffle. Saw a Lightning Bolt, but don't need that.
No. Will not do. Yeah, True Nemesis does not care about a Germ unless you somehow give it flying. So
we're hoping for Soaring Seacliff, correct?
Something like that, yeah. Just straight up flight.
Nice.
The one with the zebra.
Weller Gordon draws a mystery card off a Ponder, and he knows that he has finally been defeated. Joe Pynch is going to win this match. 2 games to 0S per Deathblade. Going to take it on down, move on to 6-1, taking down Blue at Red Delver.
Yeah, and Joe Pynch kind of breathes a sigh of relief there, I think.
A slight misstep that almost became a major misstep.
Yeah, for sure. A mental misstep, one might say.
I was really hoping you were above that.
I'm not, though. You know I'm not.
I know, but I can hope.